I told you not to doubt us. The media always does. The Democrats always do. We're really grateful to have had the big victory on the floor just now. It was a big one. We will now get the committees operating on all cylinders. We have big menus of options and items, and one of the big ones is energy and commerce. That's where you'll be looking at, Medicaid, for example, which is the thing that the Democrats are trying to, frankly, lie to the American people about. No one has talked about cutting.
Yeah, the timeline to get this done is as quick as we can get it done. By the end of May, we want a bill through the House, to the Senate, on the president's desk.
Got the House vote, and now we're well on our way to getting, as we call it, the great big beautiful bill. It's a beauty. There's never been a bill like this one.
President Trump and Republicans there celebrating the House approving the Senate's budget bill yesterday. Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie and Indiana Congresswoman Victoria Spartz, the only two voting no and voting with all Democrats. Spartz explained it this way, quote, "The instructions we voted on are still setting us up for the largest deficit increase in the history of our republic and opening up a Pandora's box by changing accounting rules to hide it." House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune said both agreed to at least $1.5 trillion in spending cuts. Joining me now is West Virginia Congressman Riley Moore, member of the House Appropriations Committee. Congressman, thanks so much for being here this morning. We so appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me on.
So tell us how this works at this point. So the bill passed. It's already amended by the Senate. Now you are ready to go. You all leave for Easter holiday. What happens when you come back?
Well, as the speaker just pointed out there, what we're going to do is the authorizing committees like Energy and Commerce, they're going to go get to work. They have their instructions as it relates to the bottom number there, what our floor is going to be, which is the $1.5 trillion in cuts. And it's not just energy and commerce. That's going to be the large part of it, but it's also going to be ed and workforce, ways and means is going to get to work on the Trump tax cuts and extending those out, which is going to provide, which I think why we're seeing the market stabilize here a little bit, is going to provide a lot more certainty in the marketplace right now. Obviously, as we know with the tariffs, which I'm a huge supporter of, there's some uncertainty there, so that's being priced into the market. Us providing more certainty on the side as it relates to tax relief, I think is going to play a major role in stabilizing this so companies know in terms of like CapEx expenditures, what that's going to look like down the road for long lead items.
Yes, this is all the clarity that corporations really need in order to make their own plans in terms of investment. But how do you want to answer someone like a Victoria Spartz or a Tom Massie? Obviously, they went against their colleagues and voted no here. They joined Democrats because they're worried that there's not enough spending cuts. What's your response?
Well, this is going to be a generational opportunity to actually do spending cuts and actually spending cuts on mandatory spending. And what we mean by that when we say cuts, we're talking about waste, fraud, and abuse. There was a GAO report that just came out last month talking about overpayments within Medicare and Medicaid, which is $80 billion a year. So we're talking a 10-year window. That's $800 billion. That gets us basically halfway there just with that alone. Yeah. So there's a tremendous amount of waste, fraud, and abuse that are going on in these programs. People that are qualified for Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, no one's losing that. No one's losing that. But we do have to do something about these overpayments in Medicare and Medicaid, just for example.
Okay, well, that's one thing, and it's not going to get you to a balanced budget, but it's certainly one thing to point out. Look, the budget and the resolution passed is a big positive in the face of lots of uncertainty because of the tariffs, right? I mean, China this morning is raising the stakes again. They're raising the tariff on the U.S. to 125%. That's up from 84%. Xi Jinping remaining defiant, saying China has never relied on handouts in 70 years and is, quote, not afraid of unjust suppression. President Trump, meanwhile, is not ruling out extending the 90-day tariff pause that he has in place for allies. Here he is responding to Edward Lawrence yesterday and China limiting Hollywood movies. Watch this.
So how close are you to the first country coming to actually make a deal with the United States over tariffs? Is it days, months?
Well, I think it's very close, but, we have to have a deal that we like. We don't want a deal that's going to be a bad deal, or I could make every deal in one day if I wanted to.
China retaliated today by reducing the number of American films that can be shown there. What's your reaction to them now targeting cultural exports from the United States?
I think I've heard of worse things than.
I'll tell you, I just love that question. Meanwhile, China is trying to circle the wagons and get some support from Asian nations. Australia's deputy prime minister shut down China's offer to work together against Trump's tariffs, saying that they will not make common cause or hold hands with China. Then there's Europe. After the close last night, they signaled that they would not participate and partner with China, nor while, accepting China's rerouted dumped goods, Congressman. So you've got some positioning happening around the world. And of course, as I mentioned, very positive signal that you all have passed this budget resolution in the face of the uncertainty around tariffs. What is your reaction to China raising the stakes here on retaliation?
Well, the idea that they've never taken a handout, I mean, they're the biggest welfare recipient on the face of the planet as it relates to us propping up their economy for the last several decades. I mean, we have literally exported our entire industrial base over to them and subsidized the Chinese while they've been manipulating currency during that entire period. So that's laughable, too. As you well know, and many know who are watching this program, they are the surplus nation in this. Right. So they are in the disadvantaged position as it relates to negotiations. Their economy is so reliant on exports that any demand signal that drives that down is going to slow down their economy. We are in the trade deficit and we hold the levers right now as it relates to this negotiation. And I think what you're seeing is an isolation going on by President Trump, who obviously has done a brilliant job negotiating this. And I think this deal right now, in my view, I think in terms of what the president is doing, this is going to be the biggest deal any president has ever closed since the Louisiana Purchase under Thomas Jefferson. So it's going to reorient the United States in that big of a manner. It's going to be huge. It's going to save states like West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. It's going to save our community.
So you do think that a bill will be on the president's desk to sign by the end of May? Because yesterday I had on Andy Harris from Freedom Caucus. He said it's unlikely that you're going to be able to get this done by May. And you say what?
I love Andy Harris, great guy. We're certainly friends, but I do disagree. I think we are going to have a bill on the president's desk by May. He's very singularly focused on this. Okay. We are singularly focused on getting this done. I think we're going to get it done. All
right, Congressman. Have a good recess. We will talk more as it develops, the news develops. Thank you, Congressman. Riley Moore joining us this morning.